I always wanted to learn how to play the blues, but the beginning was so slow, frustrating. But with the minor pentatonic scale, I can play anything. Oh, if only it were that easy. The minor pentatonic scale is not where the blues ends. In fact, it's only the beginning. While maybe 99% of blues licks are made primarily of, there's so much more to explore. I'm not going to tell you that you have to basically throw that scale away. The minor pentatonic is the foundation of blues guitar. Don't get me wrong. And I'm not even going to tell you that you have to learn a new scale or arpeggios or triads or any sort of new material whatsoever. In fact, I'm only telling you to play one note differently. I'm not talking about the flat 5. Because that's also something that most guitar players will accidentally fall into when they're playing the pentatonic scale. There it is. There it is again. There it is. So, as you can see, that is apparent in most blues licks, even if you don't necessarily know the music theory behind it. And that is how simple the change that I'm going to suggest is to make. In fact, it's a note that you already play in the minor pentatonic scale. There it is. The flat 7. And why is this note so important? Well, it's not necessarily about the note. It's about how you get to the note. Let me explain. I'm going to play a simple blues lick. Maybe the most simple blues lick there is. Sounds awesome, but a little tired, wouldn't you say? Now I'm going to do the exact same thing, but I'm going to end on the flat 7. Delicious. So, here is my proposal. Instead of playing the root note, instead replace it with the flat 7 that you're bending up from a half step below. As many times as you can make that happen when you are playing. And I'm not talking about when you happen to graze the root note in a fast passage. I'm talking about harping and emphasizing the root note in your melodies, in the slower parts of your guitar solos and your guitar playing in general, avoiding that root and instead doing what I said with the flat 7. Let me give you an example to music. First, I'm going to play that basic blues lick, and I'm not going to include the concept that I'm talking about with the flat 7. I'm just going to stay straight up pentatonic. But then I'm going to introduce the flat 7 concept, and you'll see, oh, you'll see. Or should I say you'll hear? Yeah, that one. Now, how else can the flat 7 be helpful? Well, let's again take it back to the beginning. What do we get caught up in when it's the minor pentatonic? And I already can tell you it's this box. It's not often that people leave this box. We don't have to necessarily leave the box entirely, but we can move the boxes around. So those are all the same notes. But just displaced. So we can take what we already have and just move it around the neck. And you can do this really simply with just finding octaves, using your ear. And so forth. But really, let's get back to the basics. Instead of playing exactly what you're comfortable playing, change one simple note. You can still play the exact same rhythms, the same, part of the neck, and really just changing one fret will make a massive difference in a lick. Let's say we have this position of the minor pentatonic scale. Not necessarily the bluesiest sound, but it is in the pentatonic scale. And all I'm going to do is, instead of making this jump, I'm going to change one fret. Now, obviously that changes what scale I'm in. Who cares? It's gonna sound cool, even if the notes don't necessarily match the key, because I am ending with the exact attitude that I would if I was playing something that is in the key, okay? So, I'm gonna do the same thing. I'll play, and I'll improvise around that little motif, and then we'll change it to that and see if you like it. So if you wanted to analyze the music theory behind why that sounded the way it did, we started here with the root, flat 7, and then we have the 5th, this would be the 4th, we moved it down to the major 3rd, which in the key of A works nicely. And as far as the F sharp goes, kind of clashes. But that is the beauty of the blues. The blues is about clashing in tension. So that is why it works. It creates a rub, just as the flat 5 would do. And I didn't have to necessarily know any of that music theory to hear it. And I definitely didn't have to change anything about my guitar playing. I just had to shift 1/2 step, and you'll be surprised when that works. It really works all the time. You could be playing notes and just hit completely wrong notes, but if you end up in a place of confidence, it really doesn't matter what you did to get there, and it almost makes you a better guitar player, especially if you actually meant to do it. And sometimes the greatest licks come out of the biggest mistakes. But I hope this lesson has inspired you to just tinker with one little nuance, one little note. Just change it. If you feel like you're in a rut in your guitar playing, it doesn't take a dramatic change in your approach to the guitar to break out of that. In fact, the smallest changes are usually the most inspirational. So now I'm going to put everything that I said into action, and I'm going to throw in this lick too. Because blues and metal can coexist, right?